Jai Jai Radhe, Jai Jai Shyam, Jai Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham. Hare Krishna everyone, welcome back to the reading of Teachings of Lord Chaitanya by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. We're reading chapter number 14, is it? Yes, it's 14, the ecstasy of the Lord and His devotees. And today we're reading the 25 transcendental qualities of Srimati Radharani. So, thus Krishna has 64 transcendental qualities. Srimati Radharani has 25 transcendental qualities with which she can control even Krishna. Her transcendental qualities are as follows. 1. She is sweetness personified. 2. She is a fresh young girl. 3. Her eyes are always moving. 4. She is always brightly smiling. 5. She possesses all auspicious marks on her body. 6. She can agitate Kṛṣṇa by the aroma of her person. Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya. She can agitate Kṛṣṇa by the aroma of her person. 7. She is expert in the art of singing. 8. She speaks very nicely and sweetly. 9. She is expert in presenting feminine attractions. 10. She is modest and gentle. 11. She is always very merciful. 12. She is transcendentally cunning. 13. She knows how to dress nicely. 14. She is always shy. 15. She is always respectful. 16. She is always patient. 17. She is very grave. 18. She is enjoyed by Kṛṣṇa. 19. She is always situated on the highest devotional platform. 20. She is the abode of love of the residents of Gokula. 21. She can give shelter to all kinds of devotees. 22. She is always affectionate to superiors and inferiors. 23. She is always obliged by the dealings of her associates. 24. She is the greatest among Kṛṣṇa's girlfriends. 25. She always keeps Kṛṣṇa under her control. Thus, Kṛṣṇa and Radharani are both transcendentally qualified and they attract one another. But Radharani's transcendental attractiveness is greater than Kṛṣṇa's, for her attractiveness is the transcendental taste in conjugal love. Similarly, there are transcendental tastes in servitorship, friendship, and other relationships with Kṛṣṇa. These can be described with reference to the context of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Persons who have been thoroughly cleansed by devotional service and are always joyful, being situated in elevated consciousness, who are very much attached to studying Srimad Bhagavatam, who are always cheerful in the association of devotees, who have accepted the lotus feet of Kṛṣṇa as the ultimate shelter of their lives, and who are pleased to perform all details of devotional service. Such devotees have in their pure hearts the transcendental ecstasy of attachment, which has been developed through old and new reformatory practices. That ecstatic state of being, enriched with love of Kṛṣṇa and transcendental experience, gradually develops into the mature bliss of spiritual life. Tasting such spiritual bliss is not possible for those who are not situated in Kṛṣṇa consciousness and devotional service. This fact is further corroborated in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 2.5.131, where it is said, quote, "It is very difficult for the non-devotee to understand the taste of devotional service. Only one who has completely taken shelter of the lotus feet of Kṛṣṇa and whose life is merged in the ocean of devotional service can understand this transcendental pleasure." Lord Chaitanya thus Hare Krishna. Lord Chaitanya thus briefly explained the transcendental situation, the spiritual relish of life. Oh, I love this, how this sounds, the spiritual relish of life, which he called the fifth stage of perfection. The first stage of perfection is to become a righteous man in the ordinary sense, as known in the material world. The second stage of perfection is to become materially rich. The third stage of perfection is the attainment of complete sense enjoyment. And the fourth stage of perfection is liberation. But above liberation are those in the fifth stage of perfection, those who are established in Kṛṣṇa consciousness or devotional service to the Lord. Already liberated, devotees who reach the highest perfection of devotional service in Kṛṣṇa consciousness experience the taste of the ecstasy of spiritual relish. The Lord then told Sanatana Goswami that he had previously taught his younger brother, Rupa Goswami, at Prayag, Allahabad. The Lord assured Sanatana Goswami that he had empowered Rupa Goswami to spread the knowledge he had given him. The Lord then similarly ordered Sanatana Goswami to write books on the transcendental loving service of Lord Kṛṣṇa. And he authorized him to excavate the different sites of Kṛṣṇa's pastimes in the district of Mathura. Sanatana Goswami was also advised to construct temples in Vrindavan and to write books on the principles of Vaishnavism, as authorized by Lord Chaitanya himself. Sanatana Goswami executed all these desires of the Lord. He constructed the temple of Madan Mohan at Vrindavan, and he wrote books on the principles of devotional service, such as Hari Bhakti Vilasa. Hari Bhakti Vilasa ki jai. Lord Chaitanya further taught Sanatana Goswami how one can live in the material world while being in a complete relationship with Kṛṣṇa. And he also taught Sanatana Goswami taught him that there is no necessity for dry renunciation. The purport of these instructions is that in the present age there are many persons who accept the renounced order of life, sannyasa, but who are not spiritually advanced. Lord Chaitanya did not approve of such sannyasa, explaining that it is wrong to accept sannyasa without having perfect knowledge of Krishna consciousness. Actually, we find that there are many so-called sannyasis whose actions are below those of ordinary man, but who pass themselves off as being in the renounced order of life. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not accept such hypocrisy, and he instructed Sanatana Goswami to elaborate on the subject in different books. The perfectional stage of spiritual life, which one can experience even while being in the material world, is described by Lord Kṛṣṇa in the 12th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. There, it is said that one who is not envious of any living entity, who is friendly, merciful, and detached from material possessions, who is situated in his pure identity, without any false conception of the body as the self, who is equipoised in both happiness and distress, who is forgiving, always satisfied, always engaged in devotional service, and always surrendered unto the Supreme Lord with his body and mind. Such a devotee is very dear to Kṛṣṇa. A devotee who never gives trouble to any living entity, either by his body or his mind, who is never affected by material distress and happiness, and who is never angry or pleased with anything material, is very dear to the Supreme Lord. He who is never dependent on anyone in this world, who is completely surrendered to the Supreme Lord, who is purified, expert, neutral, free of pain, and aloof from any material endeavor which requires too much attention. Such a devotee is also very dear to Lord Kṛṣṇa. Sorry. I mean, I'm not laughing because this is a confirmation for me. It's been some years now, about 4 years, ever since I got married, that I'm kind of like stepping away from social media platforms, or I'm trying with, little by little, because I would want to live life in the real world more than I live it in the virtual one, social media, social networks, etc. But I have my service to my spiritual master and Shravanam diaries. They deal with social media inevitably, but I try to minimize it as much as possible. And so I just really, especially in the past few months, like when we had the hiatus of the podcast, when different things were happening, me trying to move away from smartphones. I just really want to live life dealing with my friends and devotees who are dear to me in a personal way, having that personal experience. And plus, maintaining your social networks requires too much attention, because you always have to catch up with others, and then you have to always find content to tell about yourself. I mean, it's for me it turned into a headache. So right now I read this, being aloof from any material endeavor which requires too much attention, and I'm like, yes, exactly. we're working on that, exactly. That who needs unnecessary material endeavors that require too much attention and it's like just for, nothing basically. Me and my sister Vishaka, we were discussing how nadhanam najanam nasundarim, that I don't want beautiful wife, I don't want wealth, I don't want any followers. It actually also about social media followers, because this is exactly the proper instruction for Kali Yuga, So, yeah. I mean, this entire list is very wonderful. So, that was something off topic. I mean, no offense to any, I really love all of the content and posts that devotees do in preaching in social media, and we ourselves do that, but come on, especially while we're alive, let's say, why don't we have real experience of association with devotees, especially after 2 years of pandemic? I think everybody is like, I want to go out, I want to meet devotees personally, I want to hug devotees, So it's really, I think this pandemic, one thing that this lockdown and everything, it taught me is that you really need to appreciate being in devotees' presence. And internet and all these electronics, they're like Maya within Maya, illusion within illusion. It's wonderful. They saved us. They kept us connected while we were in lockdown and everything. But if there is an opportunity to meet with each other, to talk to each other face to face, that's something very, very precious and valuable. Okay, that was very... okay, that was diversion. Such a devotee is also very dear to Lord Kṛṣṇa. Okay. A person who is never subjected to material happiness or hatred, lamentation or ambition, who is aloof from all materially auspicious and inauspicious activities, and who is fully devoted in Krishna consciousness, such a devotee is very dear to Lord Kṛṣṇa. A devotee who treats equally a so-called enemy and a so-called friend in the material world, who is not disturbed by heat or cold, who is without any attachment, who is equally situated when respected or insulted, who is always grave, satisfied in any condition of life, without any fixed residence, and fixed in Krishna consciousness. Such a devotee is very dear to Lord Kṛṣṇa. Oh, that's also sweet. When I read such lists, sometimes naturally, you read one point after another, and you're like, check, or empty box. Which one do we have to more or less, and which one we don't? Like this, without any fixed residence. I don't think I've ever had a fixed residence in my whole life, because my parents used to travel. We would change houses every 3 years of my life, ever since I was a child. It was, I don't know why am I saying, I think it's too personal to speak on the podcast. Let me say. So it was Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Moscow, we've lived in 10 different apartments within Moscow, and Sukharevo, then Mumbai, then Mayapur, and within Mayapur we would also change residence. So in my entire life, I'm 26, maximum 4 years I would live at some particular place. Usually it would be 2 to 4 years, switch places, 2 to 4 years, switch places, packing bags, moving, so it's, one thing it gave me is detachment, but it's just something acquired. So without any fixed residence, it makes me feel comforted that it's a quality of its own. Wow. Interesting. always grave. Other qualities should be worked on. At least one we have. Another one we should work on that. Yes, but with devotees, that's the point. When you're with devotees, you can be anywhere, and that would be home. Home is defined by association. That's my personal realization that I would share. Jai. Even if one is not situated in the transcendental platform, still, if he approves the transcendental life described here, he also becomes very dear to Kṛṣṇa. Haribol, do you approve? If you say yes, then you also become very dear to Kṛṣṇa. Yeah, well, 100% we approve everything described here. It would be wonderful to develop all of these beautiful qualities. Oh, it's 21 minutes. Okay, we'll stop here for today. May we all become very dear to Kṛṣṇa by developing all of these wonderful qualities. I'm sure you also, when we were enumerating, I'm sure you also, found some of the qualities which you already have to some extent. And I know devotees who are very grave. I know such devotees. And you look at them and they're very grave and they're very deep. And, you naturally, you respect them very much. You just, but when they associate with you, then you realize that, that gravity comes from knowledge, from depth, from their rich, confidential, that internal, life. So that gravity is there. I know that I don't have it. I know that unfortunately it's something that I want to develop, but I'm not very good at being grave. So, but all of these beautiful qualities, it's something that will develop within us when we will practice Kṛṣṇa consciousness and devotional service. Jai. So, again, may we all become dear to Kṛṣṇa. Thank you so much for tuning in. The link to this book is in the description. Please check out our website, shravanamdiaries.com. And we shall see you tomorrow. Hare Krishna. Yes, this was Shravanam Diaries podcast and your host Sulalita Devidasi. Dandavats.